From the front pages of your newspapers to your television screens, we bring you captivating stories, separating the noise from the facts, bringing you relevant and accurate information available. This is The Headliner, and my name is Nabila Choki, and I'm your host.
My name is Kurtley Gwindi, and indeed, welcome to this weekly dose of The Headliner, where today we will be delving deep into the details of the preparations to host the 44th Ordinary Summit of the Southern African Development Committee, SADC, to be hosted in Harare, Zimbabwe next month. The final touches are being carried out on various infrastructure that will be used during the gathering of the regional leaders as well as their delegations. To discuss more of this, we are joined by seasoned journalist Latwell Nyangu, a journalist who's going to help us dissect the issue and the significance of this summit to Zimbabwe, particularly to us, the children of the motherland. Welcome to the show, Latwell.
Thank you so much, Ketley, for inviting me again on this show.
Yeah, you have become a regular guest here, and we're so excited to be getting into this issue and more. Now, taking a look at all things being equal, the SADC summit is a few weeks away. We can see it in the roads, we can see it in the people, we can see it in the excitement in the atmosphere. And Zimbabweans have commended the attention to the key infrastructure to be used on this grand event. What's your take on Zimbabwe's preparedness to host this particular summit?
Yeah, well, I think this is one thing that I can say is this is one of the best moments we're going to have as Zimbabwe, because it will also contribute to development. I'm sure I've seen some roads which are actually being sorted out. So as the media, I'm sure that the media is playing their role. But the first thing when you're a journalist, you must be responsible. You should actually look to development, not only look to destruction or destroy. So at this stage, I'm sure I'm impressed. From the look of things, looking at the public media, I'm sure they are doing quite well. Of course, we have other sections of the media, like the digital platforms, the netizens, you know, they bring in a different perspective whenever there's something like this. But the mainstream media, I'm sure they are doing quite well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And different perspectives, opinions, as well as viewpoints coming along in the build-up to this summit. And, of course, a valuable contribution you have brought to the table today on The Headliner. We will be taking a look at this insight and more. But before that, Nabila, I do know there's an appreciation of the stories that have been making headlines.
Oh, yes.
Not destruction. As
not destruction. But I do have some interesting ones. I will start with the Chronicle, however. I'm going to start you off a bit light today, Kurtley. So I will start with the Chronicle, and our headline states, "Village head mobilized against cops." Now, when I read this, I thought, oh my, what has this village head done? Now, this is the story. Police in Gokwe last week had to fire warning shots to disperse a crowd mobilized by a traditional leader to stop them from arresting his wife and two other members of a syndicate, which was illegally cultivating dacha along the Shishi river banks of Kurua village under Chief Nemangwe. Now, they appeared before the Gokwe magistrate, who convicted the trio of illegal cultivation and possession of dacha. Now, Kurtley, can you imagine being a headliner and in this position that this man is in, and, you know, police had to fire warning shots?
Oh, yeah. Quite absurd, I must say. It's almost like a comical / action movie that is coming out of this particular space. If you are from Gokwe and you're watching us, we particularly want to know what is happening in your territory. Latwell, what's your take on this particular headline?
Gokwe is always Gokwe, you know. It always brings some interesting stories. But this is actually a good story, and it's a good read, actually, of human interest. Because being arrested for cultivating daga, you know, and the mobilization by the village head, whatever stuff you see, there are a lot of issues. I'm sure the village head was trying to protect the wife.
But that's exactly what I was thinking. You know, this guy went all out. He did everything that he possibly could to protect his wife. And you know what? You have to give him kudos for that.
Oh, yeah.
But a crime is a crime.
A crime is a crime. And still in keeping with the stories that we're tracking today, we can't leave the village of Gokwe without crossing over to Chiweshe, where a particular 85 kgs of gold allegedly found in one village in Chiweshe. We do know that there was a break-in, according to the facts that were portrayed by the media. However, we want to know, how does one have 85 kgs of gold and have a break-in through a window? We got to read that story, have an appreciation of it this week. But the figures aren't making sense.
Yeah, but at some point I heard the police were trying to correct the number of gold.
Yeah.
They were trying to say it was 85 grams.
85
not
grams.
kgs.
Kgs.
Okay, that's a major difference. That's not even close to being the same. Like, that's
So
huge.
that headline in itself had the people going, and at the very
But I think
same
that's
time,
the destruction that he was talking about. In terms of the media, that has
Not
to be the
really. I'm sure
destruction.
it was about the information at hand, but the police were trying to correct that actually.
Okay.
Although it was a bit too late.
it was a bit too late.
Yeah.
It had spiraled on social media. So yeah, good morning to all those from Gokwe and Chiweshe. Good evening and good afternoon. We hope you sleep well and have no break-ins. We move on to the H Metro, and it reads, Madzibaba sucked in a spate of gang murders in which 11 of his relatives were killed. A religious leader based in Kuwadzana, Harare, Madzibaba Ekedi Mawodzwa, is being accused of being part of a gang which killed 11 of his relatives at his shrine in his bizarre pursuit of absolute spiritual powers. The case is being heard at Chief Makope's traditional court in Zambara village, Chiweshe. We are still in Chiweshe.
We're back there.
I'd said my goodbyes, but we're back again.
We're back again.
You know, we take a look at some of these issues that have a lot to do with the religious perspective or the religious cults that are operating. I do remember we were tracking a story earlier this year, once again, of another Madzibaba who was named to be part of these cults. Now, putting all these things into perspective, is it not too much to get into your family, your own bloodline, your relatives, Latwell?
I think these are some of the daily issues, but people don't learn. We seem to be too desperate for spiritual healing, deliverance, breakthroughs, and we tend to run to the same people who are killing us. I think we are blinded somehow. There are so many people who are blinded there. Just look at this stage that this guy is saying that he has killed more than 7 people. And you can't tell me that these people, they don't know about all these deaths. I'm sure there's some pinpointing to say Diakaura and Diakaura, but people still go there.
Yeah.
But now, Langton, I have a question on this, though. You know, our theme today, obviously, is as media, how prepared are we to host SADC? Now, when we're having headlines like this that are actually quite terrifying, how prepared are we truly to have it? I mean, as media.
I think as media, we are prepared. But from the first point of entry, the leadership has been saying that we are geared for this. So as the media, we must also be geared, because the role of the media is for development. Of course, we might have these side shows, headlines, which makes life goes on. We must have sensational stories, human interest, as well as development of stories. So for the SADC, I'm sure every media sector is prepared for this.
Well, I certainly hope so, because, you know, we are going to move into the Herald at this point. Now, again, another, I'm going to use Langton's word, sensational story, because this headline is, the church loses 35,000 United States dollars to thieves. Now, thieves broke into a church in Chinoy on Saturday night and stole 35,000 United States dollars from a safe. Now, the incident occurred at a church along Highway Drive in Mazari area, and police are investigating the case. Now, National Spokesperson Commissioner Paul Nyati confirmed the incident, and he stated, police in Chinoy are investigating circumstances surrounding a case of unlawful entry and theft, which occurred during the night of July 6th, 2024 at a church along Highway Drive, Mazari. I mean, okay, first of all, that is a lot of money to have in cash, in your safe, in the church. I mean, this is what we have banks for, right? This is something that's been in the media. We're pushing how great our systems are, and that, you know, this is part of the readiness preparation that we're doing. Langton, what's your thought on do you have $35,000 in your safe?
I don't have all that, man. But I think the thieves or the robbers, they are also clever. Now that they are targeting churches, but they know money is kept in churches. People have a tendency of not putting money in the banks. So I'm sure these guys, they deserve it.
Well, That was quite a tough conviction that you gave them right there. I think these guys deserve it.
Nabila, quite frankly, Nabila, I'm ready. This Sunday, I know which church to attend.
Wow, Kurt,
I'm
careful.
going to be a part of the Mazari. Down in Mazari, if you're watching us from there, I will be ready to attend that church. We move on, still in keeping with currency, and that is our local currency, where we're taking you to the Financial Gazette, which is tagged as ZIG Fuels Cautious, ZIM GDP Optimism. Now, experts are more optimistic about the country's growth prospects in the second half of 2024 than they were in the first half of the year. Zimbabwe's gross domestic products growth prospects are looking brighter in the second half of 2024 to improve economic fundamentals and a more stable political environment. Now, taking a look at that, aligning issues to do with the ZIG, and of course, the stability that it has brought to the market, and also allowing free trade as well as a smooth trade within the perspective of the Zimbabwean economy at large. I think, Latwell, you can agree with me. Yeah. There's never been a time that our local currency has maintained its stability. And as we get into the second half, as tagged by the Financial Gazette, there is growth and prospects for growth.
And for real, this is actually a positive story, where we also have a notable positives. Because if we look at this, I'm sure there's a stability. The monetary policy which was put in place by the ministry and the RBZ is showing a lot of signs of development, positive stability. And I'm sure, even myself, I'm actually enjoying the stability.
The ZIG. Have you got to hold the cash yet?
I did at some point, but of course, it's a discuss.
Latwell's leaving us with some ZIG.
It's a discuss, but I'm sure wherever it is, it's working.
I think it is working, and you know what, on that very, very light and high note that we're on, because obviously it is working, and this is just showing us some of the preparedness and why we are having the conversation that we are having today. But yes, we'll be taking a look at a few more in the second half of this. Yes, Kurt?
Yes, absolutely. And on that particular note, we're just going to get a few dollars from Latwell, but we'll be back just now here on the Headliner. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the second segment of the Headliner, where we're delving deep this morning and we are taking a look at the preparations to host the 44th Ordinary Summit of the Southern Africa Development Committee, SADC, to be hosted by Zimbabwe in Harare next month. I'm your host, Nabila Jogi, and I'm not alone.
Yes, indeed. My name is Kurtley Gwindi. We are still trekking all things to do with preparations for this massive and major summit to be held in Harare, where systems are almost in place for a successful hosting of this SADC summit next month, with final touches being carried out on various infrastructure that will be used during the gathering of the regional leaders and delegations. And of course, as we had introduced earlier, to discuss all this and more, we are joined in studio by a seasoned journalist, one of a kind, who is here to speak to us. Latwell Nyangu, thank you so much for staying with us.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yes,
Today
indeed.
We've
got Nabila.
I know, I feel like I'm going to be the headliner after this.
She's bringing a lot of color, flavor, and voice to the show.
We are balanced here.
It's a balanced equation. I love it. And let's talk about the same balance that is coming up with regards to the build-up to the SADC summit. How has the government preparations for the SADC summit been covered by the media at large? And perhaps what tone is being taken? Is there a balanced tone with regards to the reportage of this particular build-up?
Yeah, I think from the onset, I wouldn't want to take much from the media coverage. I'm sure the media is playing their role. You know, the media, its duty is to inform, to educate, and probably at some point to propel development. And in this case, we should be all celebrating that we've got the SADC here, all the member states are coming here, we're going to have a big event. And as you can see, government is also prepared. So the same should be the journalists. Because the journalists are the at times, mukasa controller vanoita msikanzo. Saka the media, I'm sure they are monitoring, or by all means we say, no guys, let's have a positive image about our country. And I'm sure they're doing so.
Well, now that you speak about, Mskanzwa Yacho, have we been, as the media, have we been overly optimistic in our coverage of this lead up? And are we maybe neglecting to report on potential issues or challenges that we might face with regards to these preparations?
Obviously, it's a subjective matter. It depends where are you coming from. But the times where we see good things, some people see bad things. So no wonder why we've got the public and the private is always the digital. Let's not forget about the digital platform. The digital is becoming so effective. And what some the people say on the digital, it matters most. It contributes somewhere.
It's got the widest coverage.
Yeah, because everyone can just post. Everyone has become more like a journalist. No wonder why we need the government to actually institute some measures to also guide on what people post.
Yeah, I suppose that's why you were talking about the checks and balances that are required to curb the mischief in terms of our fraternity.
Exactly. But for the mainstream media, I don't have any negatives to point out.
Absolutely. And coming here, Nabila, obviously there were detours, lateral, equally. Sure. We are talking about the road infrastructure development that is happening in the build-up to this summit. Is all energy being exerted on roads, and is there particular attention that needs to be paid elsewhere, in your viewpoint?
From my point of view, because I'm sure the authorities, they are using the selective process, the selective strategy to say probably our guests will be taken to this area. There's a biasness on that regard. No wonder why you see people are joking around to say, what if the SADC members say want to go to waterfalls? And there's a sign that the government is saying,
good day to all those from waterfalls.
But however, I'm sure it's a process and a strategy we can also work as well to say that we are selectively looking into this area. Infrastructure and these roads are the major roads which they are going to use, which is fair enough. Of course, always people will say, same now, same now going down. But well, I think it's a strategy we can work as well. It's fair enough.
So I think, currently, I do agree that obviously I think the most prevalent thing that we've seen is the road infrastructure development because it has an everyday impact on us. But I also think that we've had a lot of development when it comes to our hospitality sector. And just in terms of that sector in itself, we're talking about training of staff, upskilling of chefs, redecoration, reconstruction of hotels, rebranding. So there's a lot going on that front. Do you think that the smaller players in terms of the tourism fraternity are being covered well enough?
I'm sure, but this is an opportunity for almost every sector, from the smaller ones, the bigger ones, national level. So I'm sure everyone who can see an opportunity is working hard, and there is inclusion of all those areas because this is an opportunity for the tourism boost. There's an opportunity for infrastructure development, infrastructure for job opportunities. I'm sure the contractors, you see many people, they're also getting something. So everyone who sees an opportunity, anofana could benefit.
Absolutely, and opportunities, jobs, and more jobs. All speaking to everything that is building up to the SADC Summit 2024 here in Harare, Zimbabwe, where we will be giving you coverage here on ZBC TV live. And of course, making sure that we're tracking all that and more towards the build-up of this particular day. For now, we're still building up to the third and final segment. Don't go anywhere. This is the headliner. Thank you, viewers, for staying with us here on The Headliner. Of course, we are still tracking all things to do with the SADC Summit 2024 held in August here in Harare, Zimbabwe. And we are going to be talking about all the things in this build-up. In studio, we are joined, of course, by Nabila Jogi. Thank you so much for coming on board on The Headliner. I'm so excited, Nabila.
I don't think you could keep me off The Headliner if you tried, Cody. This is way too exciting for me. I love getting my hands deep into these type of issues, and today is particularly interesting for me, especially because we are leading up to SADC. It's been all over the news, and I'm just loving it. And I know that as ZBC TV, we are going to be giving you live coverage all the way through. So we are joined in studio, as Curtly has mentioned, by Latwal, who is a very seasoned journalist that has been giving us his insights and his ideas as to how prepared we actually are. Now, I want to jump in very quickly here and just talk about how involved our local artists and our businesses have been in the preparations. And when I'm talking about artists, I'm talking not just about our mainstream musicians. I'm talking about the small scale painter on the side of the road, the pencil artist. I'm talking about the a cappella group that sings in Gokwe.
For lack of a better place.
That sings in Gokwe. But how have they been involved, and how important are they to the overall success of the summit? Well, what are your thoughts there?
Well, I'm not so sure about the stage of the involvement, but I would say if they were involved, probably their chance of being involved, their role which they can play, is to actually probably come up with some themes. But there's a theme about this meeting. Some artists probably would have come up with a song, a SADC, a theme song.
Oh, yes.
The artists, maybe probably those who can design, those who can actually do paintings. This is an opportunity. We've got actually the renowned artists, sculptors, the Dominic Benuras. They can come up with something that is nice, in line with the theme, in line with the SADC. But this is a great opportunity for Zimbabwe.
And marketability. And in keeping with that, the theme being promoting innovation to unlock opportunities for sustainable economic growth and development, an industrialized SADC. Now, you know, integration. We don't want to give them ideas, but of course these artists, businesses, as well as creatives who can come on board and perhaps be as best contributing as they can towards the summit. Now, this particular theme being explored in the media, what could be the expected outcomes? Let's talk about the outcomes. What is SADC going to bring as a result of coming together with all these African countries and congregating and deliberating?
Well. I think this is going to be a benefit. I'll look into the worst country. There will be some positive to note because it's a milestone to host the 16 member states, probably in the SADC region. For example, we are going to have the development. Some roads have been improved already. Some infrastructure have been improved already. In terms of the integration, again, we're also going to have a political integration, social integration, the cohesion, the economic stability, because some of these people, they will bring some monies, you know, some relations. We're going to boost that. Well, it's also a good positive for the regional integration because the relationship with other countries is also going to mature and also improve. So,
well, speaking of maturity, you know, I'm just, you know, when I think about promoting innovation and unlocking opportunities, specifically for sustainable economic growth, I'm thinking about the development of smart cities. I'm thinking about smart farming. I'm thinking about smart mining. I'm thinking about all of these type of things. And I just think that that is our step towards a more industrialized SADC. And, you know, that's where we're leaning towards. And I think that what you've just said, by us, you know, leaning on the 16 member states that are coming to join us in this amazing country, and we have to learn from each other, and I think that's the beauty of it.
A lot. Actually, there are a lot of notes to take, especially when it comes to politics, the social, the economic, because from here we'll go further, because we have many countries who are coming in, the ideas which are coming, the interaction, you know, where there's an interaction and networking, there are a lot of issues.
Oh, yes.
Which will come. Probably the business also get a boost. Yeah.
And let's touch on businesses because equally there should be opportunities not just for government, not just for those in high powers or legislators, but even businesses at large. I know we're taking it back a little bit as we were talking about artists, but perhaps let's talk about the contribution to small businesses. How best do you think a beneficial terms are going to come out of this summit going forward? And perhaps the everyday businessman wants to know,
yeah, it's key, but kune munani a mind innovative, I'm sure they'll get something. To many, it's an opportunity, but to some, they see that it's a waste of time. Because some people will be focused about Kia, whatever stuff. While some people, they are busy coming up with some proposals. They're approaching some relevant authorities to say, guys, give me this opportunity. I will do this. So I'm sure the business community is busy right now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've seen how busy the business community is. We've seen processing plants popping up and usage of local products. We've seen a new cigarette manufacturing plant, Cataract, that made the news just a couple of days ago. So, you know, there's a lot that's happening. But I mean, we're talking about local gastronomy. We're talking about things that make us who we are. So I think, like you said, that is innovation. You know, the normal average person might think, well, you know, how is it going to benefit me?
Yeah.
But I think if you are that innovative mindset, which is the entrepreneurial mindset that we're talking about, this is like it's a world of opportunity opening up to you.
Oh yes, and a star contribution there from Latwell, and of course making sure that we are tracking all things to do with the SADC summit. This has been your portion of the headliner this particular week, and please, as always, it's always an exciting show, and ensuring that Latwell comes back next time, before, after the summit. Latwell, when you'll be back?
Yeah, certainly. If you invite me, I will not say no.
Before or after?
Anytime. It's tea time for me.
All right.
Latwell, I think we need you before, simply because there's so many things that we didn't have a chance to dive into today.
Yeah, sure.
We've got social media issues to talk about.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's always the fun headlines, the saucy ones that you know the ones that we were talking about, all those interesting ones. We do need to unlock those, and yeah, there's challenges that need to be just analyzed a bit deeper. But yeah, that was your portion of the headliner for today.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for joining us. This is indeed from me, Kurtley Gwindi, and my co-host Nabila Jogi. It is a pleasant viewing, and God bless Zimbabwe.